I love it. I don't know if I've ever actually heard it framed the way you did, which was phenomenal. That when someone, which typically is a lot of people nowadays, when we have this chronically turned on sympathetic nervous system, which inhibits our vagus nerve from being extremely active and engaged, then one of the biggest problems that you're saying that we see is that obviously sympathetic arousal is going to shut off digestion. There's no need. If you're getting chased by the mountain lion, you don't need digestion to work. You need oxygen-rich blood flow to go into areas of the body that is going to help you survive that threat. So you don't need digestion at that point. It's not advantageous from an evolutionary perspective. So again, what if the mountain lion is chasing you all day, every day, 24/7, which may sound kind of extreme, but unfortunately the body from an evolutionary perspective doesn't understand that there is no mountain lion, because these compounding stressors, whether they're finances or relationships, the body responds in almost a very similar way. Maybe not to the extreme nature, but the compounding nature very much so. And what is that going to do? It's going to keep food, like you said, sitting in the gut to ferment, to cause all of this potential deleterious effect in the gut, like things like H. pylori, candida, dysbiosis, which then is going to cause inflammation in the rest of the body. So it's this unfortunate negative, or I would say this feedback system or loop system that causes systemic inflammation. So it's almost like, stress begets, poor health, which begets more stress, which begets poor health. It's this unfortunate vicious cycle. So I appreciate you highlighting out there. It just speaks to the importance of really making sure, yes, we address gut health, but also too, one of the things that could be at the root cause of poor gut health is this kind of constant turned on sympathetic fight or flight aspects of the nervous system that is then wreaking havoc on the rest of the body. So I just really appreciated that, because I'm not sure if I've had it painted like that before, and you did so in an elegant way. So no, that's great, man.
Yeah, no, happy to. And that's why we also teach, though, there's not one program for everyone. I mean, if you're turned on all the time with the sympathetic nervous system, just like you said, because of stress in any area of your life, you have to understand that doing really hard boot camp workouts and cold plunges and all of these things, they're also stressors. So you might say, well, it's a hermetic stressor. It's a good stressor. It's not a good stressor if your body cannot recover from it, right? And so, if you take one of these lab tests and you see that your cortisol is higher at night when it shouldn't be, well, now you're not getting your deep sleep, which is typically within the first 3 to 4 hours of the night. So if you're not getting in a deep sleep, okay, now you're not getting the recovery. You might stay asleep, but you might not actually be recovering overnight. So what we say is, we love high intensity interval training. We love sauna. We love cold plunge. We love all of these things. However, are you adding more stress to a rain barrel that's already overflowing of stress? Mm-hmm. And for a period of time, you might need more calming, more light sauna, infrared sauna. You might need more biofeedback, meditation, tai chi, qigong, going for walks, calming the body rather than ramping it up. And then when your body then recharges, recovers, now you go back into what I call a graduated exercise protocol, where you get back into these things, allowing your body to adapt to stress, and you'll actually be stronger because of it. And the only reason I know these things is I had Addison's disease. Mm-hmm. I had rheumatoid arthritis, POTS, myalgic encephalitis, type 2 diabetes, and Addison's disease. And Addison's disease is when you stop producing cortisol. Mm-hmm. And it's a brutal way to live. Most people will never get there, which is good. It's fortunate. But you'll live with almost like a functional Addison's disease of low cortisol production after years of chronic stress. And that is when you're constantly inflamed. Because we think of cortisol as a bad thing, but believe it or not, cortisol is a natural anti-inflammatory, and it can actually be really helpful in recovery.
Right, exactly.
You just want to modulate that, right? And so when you have none, you're always inflamed, you always have brain fog, you always feel terrible, and I don't want that for anybody, of course.
Yeah, again, this speaks to the biohacker's pitfall, right? Which is like you try to throw kind of like everything under the sun at it as far as hormetic stressors goes. But the problem is like, yeah, we don't want to villainize the sympathetic nervous system. It works for us in a beautiful way in so many areas. Just like we don't want to villainize cortisol, just like we don't want to villainize, cholesterol. Like there's all these things that we kind of throw into like the bad camp, or these are the bad guys. But they're not. But they can work for us and they can work against us. And so if you're someone who is in this chronic state of of sympathetic arousal, and then all you do is throw more sympathetic arousal at it. Things like, engaging in HIIT training, or engaging in, sauna, or engaging in cold plunges. Like, they're not working as hormetic stressors. They're just being chronic stressors for you that are just deleterious, just like, psychological stress could be. And again, the mind and the body, they don't know the difference when they're experiencing it, because for it, it's just like, oh, here's yet another stressor that I'm not recovering from. And so it goes into kind of almost like shutdown mode. It's self-preservation mode, because your body's going to do whatever it can up to a point to protect you from dying. And so, I like that, because again, like, I think so many people hear this information of like, oh, I need to do HIIT, or I need to do a cold plunge, or I need to go do sauna. And it's like, those things can be very advantageous to your mental and physical well-being, but only if you have the ability to recover, if your nervous system can recover. Thanks for listening to the Hanu Health Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. This podcast would not happen without listeners and supporters like you. And the best way to support us and the show is to head on over to iTunes and provide us with a 5-star review. This helps us reach others and spread the good word of breathing and stress resiliency. If we read your 5-star review on air, please reach out to podcast@hanuhealth.com with your name and mailing address, and we will send you some sweet Hanu gear. Until next time, breathe better and stress less.